Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark,
And I'm Zoe.
and we are the Board Adventurers. Back to you with another fresh off the shelf. And this one is a pretty good one. This one is a game that we got sent to us from a publisher. This is the 1 to 5 player game Stamp Swap, designed by Paul Salomon and published by Stonemaier Games, who, again, sent us this copy for review. So thanks to Stonemaier for sending us the copy. So the first thing you're going to do as a player is you're going to take one of your player mats, and it's kind of important to have because you'll have a specific exhibitor associated to your player mat. You'll set up the main board, and it will have the track going around it, and you're going to set up the 4 different scoring options. So you're going to draw from a deck of the different colors, and you're going to take the scoring conditions for each round, along with a final scoring condition, which will be on the top right of that board. Right. So then what you'll do to start with each round, so this game is held over 3 rounds. Basically, it's like a stamp convention. So it's a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. What you'll do is you're going to draw 3 of these cards. So they have the pink back on them. What you'll do then is you're going to draw 1 for every player in the game. So if there's only 2 players, you only have 2. In this case, we only have 3. So you're going to take the stamps from the bag or the supply based on what you see here on this card. So you'll see that some of them have like clear or like they're white in the front. That'll mean that they're faced forward, as opposed to say this one here with the star, which means that it'll be face down. So when it's split, you won't know what it is until you take it. Then you're going to take all those stamps. There's an infinity stamp here. It has that kind of like infinity logo. I think they're forever stamps, what they're called. And then a specialist card. Specialist cards have 2 different types of specialists. So you have the specialist, which gives you an ability dependent on what it is in the game, and then an exhibitor. An exhibitor gives you another scoring condition during each round and at the end of the game. So what you'll do is after you've laid out all the stamps that are on the cards, you're going to take turns. So each person, so say in a 2-player game, I'll take one and I'm going to put it into my slot 1. Then the second person is going to take their slot 1. We're going to keep going until you've taken the 6th stamp off of there. When you have 6 stamps, now you can go into your split phase, your cut phase. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of the stamps that are there and you are going to reserve it. You cannot reserve a rare card. A rare tile is one of these like shiny gold things, which are like really fancy, like chocolates. If it's face down, you can actually look at it before you split. Because if you reserve it, you still cannot reserve this, even if it's face down. Okay. After you split, you're going to split it so that there's at least 1 tile in each of the split sections, right? So you could have a split of 1 and 4. You could split 2 and 3. The person that has the first player marker is going to go first. They can pick from anyone at the table. They can take any one split stack. When they take that split stack, the person that they've chosen from is going to take whatever is remaining. They're going to add it to their board. That person will then go next. They will choose someone else at the table, and then go from there. If somehow it gets back to the main person and there's still people that still haven't chosen, you're then going to go clockwise from that person to the left. Right? So once everyone has split and they've taken their tiles in, so again, there's tiles here, you're then going to add them onto your player board. So there's no restriction as to where you put these in your player board. It doesn't have to be touching an existing stamp. If it doesn't have to do that. But one thing you should note is that when you're placing stamps, it's important to note that when you're placing them, they have to be right side up, meaning that the symbol for the victory points, or for like the cross out, the scratch out, it has to be in the top right of that stamp. You can't just rotate it like that and place it. Okay. All right. Once you do that, now you're going to your scoring phase. You're going to then score based on any exhibitors that you have on your board. So you already have one base one here, which has its own effect. Then if you have an exhibitor, say from a card that like gives you an exhibitor effect, that gives you victory points. And then you're going to go into see who has the first player token. They get 2 points. And then you're going to score one of the 4 locations. So, sorry, one of the 4 um, victory conditions. So, at the beginning of the game, you're going to get 3 tickets. One of those tickets will be used each round to claim one of these things, and they're all different effects. So, one is based on color. So, there's 5 different colors in the game. One is based on theme. There's 5 themes in the game. One of them is based on the shape of the stamps that you have on your board. It's based on shape. And then one is finally on canceled stamps. Canceled stamps are special stamps that have the weird cancel symbol on them. They have they're not worth victory points. They're kind of inherently a 0 victory point tile. But you can score these canceled stamps condition based on that. You're going to play 3 rounds of this, and at the end of the final round, when you've picked your third of these, so again, you only have 3 tickets. So at the end of the game, one of them will not be chosen. You are then going to score at the end of the game the blue victory condition for the full game. So in this case, this one says empty regions. It's that idea of you have to have empty areas in your page that aren't encompassed on all 4 sides, whether by a border or by a stamp. You're going to sum up if you have those infinity symbols. If you have the most of them, you get 10 points for being first, having the most, 6 for second, and 3 for third. You're then going to sum up the total of your stamps, which are on the top right. So you're going to sum up all those stamp totals. And then you're going to add in any kind of, if you still have the first player token, any specialists give you victory points. And then you'll sum it up and you'll figure out who wins the game. With that being said, that is how you play Stamp Swap. What do you think?
Yeah, so Stamp Swap is 100% a game I would not go out and buy if it wasn't if it wasn't sent to us by a publisher.
Mm.
But with that said, it was pleasant. Like I was pleasantly surprised by Stamp Swap. I came away from it really enjoying it. I kind of thought that the theme was pretty endearing.
Mm.
I think it's a pretty looking game, although I do have some issues in terms of the artwork, in terms of interpreting what they are for scoring mechanics of the game. But I still think the art is pretty good. I like how quick the game moves. It's only 3 rounds, and that goes by like 45, 50 minutes. It's a little less than an hour. I think it doesn't overstay its welcome, and the I pick you choose mechanic is really, really fun. It's simple, but it's fun. It really works for what you're doing. And it just kind of really just pleasantly surprised me. I was very charmed by the game, and it felt like that's what the game was kind of going for, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar vein as you. Is that I had low hopes going into this game. The stamp game was a theme that didn't speak to me. I was not excited about it. I was like, this is like, let's just see what this is about. This is I split you choose. And I feel like the I split you choose mechanism fits very well with the stamp theme. It feels like I'm at a convention and I'm like, oh, I have this really cool rocket stamp I can trade you. Can you give me your like Zion like rock monument type thing? And I'll trade you for it. And I was pleasantly again surprised by this game, by kind of like the scoring mechanism too. I think that ticket idea where you pick one of 4 different things and you're either trying to score as much victory points now or you're trying to build up to one later is it's actually quite a good mechanic.
It's a great mechanic, and your opponent is seeing you do that as well. They can go like, oh, he still has the canceled score mechanic that he hasn't chosen, so he's trying to really triple down on that. Let me not split that and give that to him, or let me get him to. I like that because your opponents can see that and decide what they're going to split and make you choose based off of that. I like that.
Yeah, and then like even like having those stamps like flipped over, so like only you know what you've split. But there's like, ways your opponent can also kind of flip things over. It's like they can maybe reserve a second one if they get a specialist card.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can look at one of your tiles prior to you like splitting it,
Mm-hmm.
and then like kind of like go off of that. So like the idea of these specialist cards are also like they're very interesting because they can shake up the game very much.
Yeah.
My I guess one of my few issues with the game are these specialist cards though, is
Mm.
that these can be a little wordy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
they
true.
they can be a little confusing to read entirely,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they reference a lot of the time the supply, and it doesn't necessarily outright state that the infinity is part of the supply.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of played like it is, because that was a way for us to draw out infinity stamps out of this.
Yeah.
I want to say that was the way that this game intended that, but I couldn't really confirm just based on the rule book, at least for our games.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wish that maybe the specialist could have been simplified a little better with the wording.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
My only like main con is really around the themes. There are
mm,
5 themes in the game. There's vehicles, flowers, animals, monuments, and space. And I feel like we ran into this specifically with space and vehicles, which is a spaceship, a space themed stamp, or is it a vehicle themed stamp? Or
yeah,
can a theme be 2 different things?
yeah. I want to say, because this is the argument that we had, was that I guess a vehicle is something that, in a sense, would be like to transport people like on Earth. Whereas like if you once you get outside of the confines of that, then
Mm-hmm.
you're like in a rocket, like that's in space.
Yeah, that
Even
makes
though
sense.
that it does qualify as vehicle. And
Yeah,
there wasn't anything that really said that you could have multiple themes for a specific stamp.
yeah,
So we had to kind of cut the line there,
yeah.
in terms of what we believed the game should be.
And granted, that's a very minor quibble, but it did
Yeah,
kind of like halt a game and kind of go like, all right, how do we interpret this? And I
yeah,
wish the rulebook was a little bit more clear, or some sort of specific design. So this is specifically space, this is specific vehicle. There's delineation between the two. You can't combine.
yeah. It's
Uh,
weird because like what they did for color is that they gave a specific border around
mm,
it for color.
mm,
What it would have been like to me, more viable is that if you had a specific square border around these, like, or like rectangular border, and then change the line type of that border. So you can make
mm,
it dashed, or you can
mm,
make it dotted,
yeah,
or you can make it up and down dash, and
yeah,
then inside in between your borders,
mm-hmm,
you could create a hatching that could be like, okay, this X hatching is for monuments. This Y hatching or this, V hatching
mm-hmm.
is for, a space.
Yeah, there should have been some sort of uniformity between all the themes, especially when you get to some score mechanics and you have to score how many animals you've got. And there's a lot of time going trying to find and then oh, I missed one because there's no uniformity between it other than that. Do you see an
Yeah.
animal? And it can be easily missed. It sounds silly, but it can be easily missed because the different colors, different borders, and
Yeah,
then
and then you're trying to
yeah.
go for a scoring condition. Like it's a lot to juggle, but when you get into more gameplay of it, it starts to streamline in
Mm-hmm.
your mind,
Yeah.
and it definitely it hits that puzzle aspect, especially if like you like games like say Cascadia, right, where you're trying to set up your board where it's like these tiles need to be next to each other
Mm-hmm.
for it to score correctly,
Yeah.
because a lot of the scoring conditions deal with stamps in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have those stamps ready, but your final scoring condition might be I need to have a space here. So I need to not only just have this next to each other, but now I need a space in between
Mm-hmm.
so that I can score that end scoring.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the beauties of this game is that it creates a lot of like almost spatial puzzle movement.
Yeah, and you're never out of it because there's so many different score mechanics in this game. And that's not even including like the exhibitors that you can draw out in the
Yeah,
game. If you don't even count those, you have like 5, 6 different ways that you score.
yeah.
And that you have to manage that, and you're never out of the game
Mm.
because of that.
And
I
like
enjoy that.
in the beginning of the game, the first couple times we played, we were like, there's no way anyone would ever score 50 or more in this game based on like the first turn. It was like I scored like 7 points in this
Hmm.
first round. How does anyone break like 50? And we saw that it goes up to like past 150.
Hmm.
But then when you get to round five, it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
Like
it's
this
just
is this is all the scoring right here.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. I do like that. That's really the heart of the game is the variable
Mm,
score mechanics and the amount of them and how you can add to it and just kind of like have them roll into each other. It's that
mm,
part of the game is really the fun of the game.
yeah.
Um, but and it works so well with the I split you choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We don't really play a lot of them, but
no.
a lot of I Split You Chooses have to us like not really a theme associated to
Hmm.
the idea of why you're doing it.
Hmm.
This one, at least to me, kind of like
Makes
it
sense.
connects a little
Yeah,
bit better.
100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In terms of a review score, where does this rank for you?
Yeah. So again, I went into this not expecting this to be a game I would enjoy, but I enjoyed it. Like surprisingly, I
Hmm.
enjoyed it. So I'm coming in at 3.5.
Mm.
This game is like I definitely would like to show this to people. Maybe someone that even likes to do the stamp collecting
Yeah.
aspect, because like some of these stamps are actually pretty cool. Like these shiny ones are like
Hmm.
legit.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this game. I would happily sit down for a game of this.
Yeah.
I'd just be kind of like cognizant of like the specialist cards can be a burden because every time you're not not oriented correctly to the board,
Hmm.
you always need to ask someone, what does that specialist card do? What does that specialist card do? What does that one do?
Hmm.
And the specialist is kind of what starts to push the game down a little bit for me. Is that I wish it was just a little simpler, but otherwise, it's an enjoyable game. This is 3.5.
Nice. This for me is 4. This is a 4 out of
Give it a
5 for me.
4.
This is a 4 out of 5 for me. It's a very cozy game, and I really enjoy that about
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
I like the I split you choose. Excuse me. I love all the variable score mechanics of this game, and that you can just add more to it throughout the game.
Mm.
And I really love how that rolls into each other. And I love you can play this with a ton of strategy, right? You can look at what your opponents are doing and really decide on how you're splitting up your resources to give out to learn specific things. So if you wanted to
Mm.
play it that way, you can, or you can just keep it super cozy and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
I
Definitely.
love that aspect of this game. I love how short it is. It's 3 rounds and it's a brisk like 45 to 60 minutes because of that.
Yeah. Like this might relate to something like, but this kind of almost reminds me too of Comic Hunters because it
Mm.
has the similar phasing of it's a 3-day comic book convention,
Hmm.
and it's like instead of drafting, it's I
Hmm.
split you choose.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like those it's still short games that kind of give you enough choices that it feels like you've accomplished something by the end of that game.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I enjoy it a lot.
Mm.
It's really at a 4 for me. It's one that really surprised me. I did not think before we played this that I was going to give it anywhere near that score,
Wow.
but I really enjoyed this game.
All right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
cool. That is our fresh off the shelf review of Stamp Swamp. Let us know down below if you played this game and if this is a surprise for you as well. But yeah, we'll see you on the next adventure. I'm Zoe.
And Mark.